Naked fits, dirty texts, dick pics, and boiling over. Stop using boundaries, guys. You have an apology problem. You are holding yourself back. What you can do or what to do when you're not having sex. You've never seen us in action. There is always something that you need to do better. Naked fits. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Welcome to the Morrow Marriage podcast, guys, where we are real, raw, uncensored, and anointed. I got to give it up to my wife here. She's having massive sinus issues today, but we can't afford to not get you guys these episodes. I mean, we went from about 2 months ago getting about 4,000 downloads a week to 22,000 downloads a week right now. Just 2 months later, you guys are loving it, and so we have no more episodes on the radar. We have to get these things filmed. So thank you, baby.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to be here with my sinusy self.
Okay, guys, naked fits. We're going to follow erectile dysfunction, the last episode with naked fits. We had a huge laugh about a week ago when I recorded that we should make a recording or put an episode on this.
So sometimes what happens is we're having a conversation and something will come up from the past that's either really funny or really, I don't know, just impactful maybe. And then he'll tell me to stop talking. He's like, I'll write it down for the podcast because it's too good. And we can never recreate the conversation. So we wait to have it live with you guys. But we had a really good laugh. I can't remember exactly what was said, but I'm sure that we'll have another laugh today.
I don't remember either.
I laugh even just picturing
what we're about to share with you. So we've kind of talked about this before, but we've never gone super deep. I know a lot of you guys want to hear about the past because it gives you guys hope. It gives you guys faith that there's something possible when we talk about creating your new marriage and disrupting divorce, okay? Now, as you know, I was very abusive emotionally, physically, and yes, in the bedroom. I was very rageful. I was very demanding. I had an incredible amount of certain expectations that go along with it. And some of it was because of how we made deals when we got together. You know, I like sex 3-4 times a day. Are you good with that? She said, yes. Right.
I thought I was,
but we've learned a lot about ourselves, you know, and, you know, I won't go too far off in the tangent, but the reality is that as you become a confident person, you don't need sex for validation. You know, I don't know if I ever told you this, I used to like try to work the 5 love languages tests, or if I was on dating sites before, I try to work the questions so that it would be obvious that I needed physical touch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
that is classic narcissist, I think. Right there.
I was just
look,
thinking
here's
that in
my
my head.
test results. I need more sex. Wow.
But as you become, you know, the man you're born to be, really the husband, father, leader in life, the confidence that builds, you don't need the vagina for validation.
Well,
you know what I mean?
was on the flip side, I was using it as a tool to get love.
That's right.
So that's why I thought that I was good with that many times a day, because that's how I gave and secured you. Yeah,
that's right. And it's actually like pretty common. I mean, we are, you know, I was going to say you women, you'd go to the locker room and you'd hear girls talking about what you could do. And like, that's why people think women use sex as a weapon. Kathryn and I, we don't believe that, but we know it can be done. But the bigger reflection is realizing that Kathryn, that it was just a tool. You didn't realize necessarily what you're doing. Also intentionally wanting to be a good wife and you know, things like that. But anyways, naked fits. Where this comes from was, I don't remember how early in our marriage this started, but I know based off the ED stuff that was happening with me, with the you know, not being available and ready for Kathryn, really, so much shame came with that I got very insecure, and I had to, in my mind, blame Kathryn. It's why I say things like, you destroy your wife, right? You end up, you know, trying to build yourself up by tearing her down, right? Rather than addressing what your erectile dysfunction is all about, okay? Now, there was other reasons that these naked fits would happen, and then we'll tell you about it. But essentially, you know, quality wasn't there. When we talked about in the last episode of Kathryn recognizing that it bleeds out, a man can tell you, he can feel if you're connected, if you are moving your body a certain way. He can tell the difference if you're into it versus if you're not. Excuse me. And that doesn't mean that you can't be like, you know, being there for each other and not necessarily being into, but it's obviously different when there's more arousal. And then you can start adding in things like insecurity. When you don't have the sex that you want, you automatically assume that they're getting it from somewhere else. Okay. And then you have all the different tricks your mind plays on you with that monster. Okay. And we can go on and on and on and on. What would happen, and frequently would happen would, the worst of the worst would be, well, actually, I'll start at the bottom. So, you're making out and it'd be like, oh, fuck, you're not into it, because, she was trying to maybe go too fast to the next activity. Okay. And he's like, why can't you spend more fucking time on my body or whatever? Why don't you let me kiss your body? So you have these kinds of fits. Now, keep in mind, most of the time you're already naked. You're married. Okay. So, just hold it right there. Okay. Other things that could happen would be like, you're in the middle of it. I cannot tell you how many times we'd be in the middle of you taking care of me. Or I don't recall if it happened if I was taking care of you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever story he created in his mind.
Right.
Then he would start having a naked fit, screaming about whatever story. I wasn't part of the story. I was having sex with my husband. And then all of a sudden my husband created something. And then he's yelling at me about it in the middle of having sex.
Yeah. So that would be the third one, would be actually in the middle of, I'd be pulling out. And all three of these would start typically like just yelling at her in bed until eventually I'm running around the room, waving my hands in the air.
Waving everything else.
Everything else.
Like you just don't
bing, care. And waving around like you just don't care.
Yeah.
So, essentially, you think you care. That's really great that you just did that actually, because you think that you care. How in the world I thought that I'd reach my wife. I mean, the amount of times I can think of that you would have been like, I'm here. I just want, can we finish? Right? To where eventually, obviously, it's like, well, of course I don't want to finish. Right? And then I would get mad about that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad.
It was really bad. And I laugh when I think about it because even in the moment, so I wish that I could see a show of hands. How many of you women have had your husband throw a naked fit? Because if you are afraid of your husband's emotional reactions, when he does it naked, there's something that just really makes him really vulnerable. And it really shows you the humble side of your husband, because I was afraid of you, but if you were naked, there was something that like I had to stop myself from laughing because you looked so ridiculous. Because I mean, I think naked is kind of funny when you think about like doing things naked, like naked dancing, like picture naked dancing, like you're going to giggle, right? It's kind of cute. Well, naked rage fit, like.
Some of them maybe not, because maybe they're doing like the whole, like a lot of you guys probably, if you don't have kids, are walking around naked. You sit on the couch naked.
You might be. Yeah. But I think nude activities, I think it's kind of funny. Like I went to a nude beach once with a girlfriend of mine years ago, and I thought it was kind of funny. Like nudity can just be funny. Anyway, so when he would be screaming at me naked, and my husband is very fit and very sexy, but when he was having a naked fit, I didn't want to cause it to get worse. And so I had to like try to keep it together because I wanted to laugh. Because it would have sent him over the top. But there's one other naked fit that he didn't talk about, which we didn't talk about it the other day. And like I said, he'll bring things up and we've never actually talked about it before. But because he used to cycle, so we talk about how if you've listened to the podcast for a while, he's on the edge of his seat wondering what the naked fit's going to be. This is the one that makes me laugh the most, actually. But when we would fight every 3 days, he's like, wow, we're only fighting every 3 days. This is awesome. The reason he thought that was because he would cycle multiple times in one day, where we might fight 3 to 5 times in one day. And you never knew when that was going to be. And he would just go and like turn on a dime. All of a sudden he might be having a great time. And then all of a sudden he's having a fit. And if he was naked, he would have the fit naked. So he could be brushing his teeth, just got out of the shower. And all of a sudden he would think of something. And I have one specific instance. You broke the wall with the door. This is when we lived on Butterfield. And I don't remember what we were fighting about, but he stopped brushing his teeth. He had toothpaste in his mouth as he was having his naked fit. And he's just so violently thrashing his body around, thrashing the door. It's not funny, you guys. The rage is not funny, but when your husband has a naked fit, there's just something vulnerable about that you want to say to him, do you know how ridiculous you look right now? Toothpaste spewing out of his mouth. Penis, when they lean forward and they're not hard, their penis goes away a little bit. Like it just looks funny. It looks hilarious. And so you're trying not to laugh while he's having his naked fit, flailing his arms and his junk around. And you don't dare laugh, but now we can.
Well, yeah.
So because you never knew when the fit was going to drop, it could be brushing your teeth naked. And it could be at any time.
Yeah, the point is...
I'm glad you laughed at that.
Well, I think, come on. We laugh about Ryan all the time because I'm not Ryan anymore. Like, It's just... That's what you guys have to understand. Like, no matter what the shit is that you're going through, again, did you catch it? Like we always say this, oh man, we haven't talked about that yet. You know, we never addressed a lot of these issues because it's fucking pointless. If you understand the last episode and this one together, it's all based off what I was programmed to do. I thought fighting was normal every single fucking day. I thought there was certain appropriate behavior that was acceptable, I should say. You know, I didn't think anything of it. And we always judge people going like, you should know not to fight. You should, no, now, you know what I actually say to them is, don't you want to experience joy? Right? Do you like fighting every day? Right? I challenge people so that they start to think about it. Right? And if you understand that, you can laugh about all these issues and I know that to some of you, it'll feel like sweeping it under the rug. That's entirely not the case. It's that we didn't need to address the fucking audacity of naked fits and what I said and how I did things and smashing the walls. And I'm pretty sure I was naked and flipped a table over once. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was naked many times throwing Kathryn out of the house or out on the deck. She'd try to escape me and I'd go out on the deck naked. Like all of our neighbors could fucking see. You know what I mean? Like, so.
It's funny, you guys, when you look back at it.
But, and it's also funny because when you understand to address so that naked fits didn't happen, I had to address not just my emotional regulation and control, response versus reaction. I had to address insecurities. I had to address fear-based decisions. I had to learn who I was. I had to learn so many other things, all these things that we teach in our programs, right? And you can start on our app, you know, go.morrowmarriage.com. We've got a lot of stuff that, at least on the men's side, for example, like, I know you've been doing naked fits, man. I know it. Like, at some point, you've had at least one.
Everything that we talk about, we now know that he's not the only one. I'm not the only one. So many, like, I can't wait to see the fan mail that comes from this because, oh my gosh, I thought my husband was the only one that had naked fits.
No, and actually in my head, I'm already like, I got to write this down for a reel. Never talked about it on a reel. But like, you got to understand when, like, if you go to the app, for example, I'll just finish that thought. There's resources that already start the process for you as men to stop doing these fucking naked fits. I don't know that I've ever heard of or seen a woman do a naked fit, but I'm sure that's possible too.
Oh, I think you had an ex-girlfriend. I don't want to say her name on the podcast.
No, obviously not, but I don't recall.
I think there was one that was pretty crazy and sometimes was naked all the time.
Oh, yeah.
She never had a naked fit?
I don't recall. I think I still was always like the one.
You were still
the fitting. I was the fitter.
You were the
fitter. Yeah, I was the fitter one. So, yeah, anyways, I just want to encourage you, again, really, really quickly, no matter how crazy it might feel to you, you're not the only one. That's another reason to go to our app, go.morrowmarriage.com, because when you realize you're not alone, you can laugh a little bit. Like Kathryn has laughed. I've heard her laugh about some of the shit that I've done with so many wives because it's just like she remembers when she's talking to these women, right? And my memory of the things, it comes back a lot just because of day to day. Like I can still feel all of the things that I would feel. That's why I say I manage my narcissism now, right? I can still feel so much. So as we go out on a date, we'll talk about it. And this was like a home date or something. We were just hanging around at home when we burst out laughing.
We were just sitting at the pool, just watching the kids swim, and we somehow
thought about naked fits and just like, whoa, it was hilarious because when you've uncovered and peeled back all these layers, you now know who you are. See, men and women, again, we talk about it all the time. You don't know who you are anymore. Right? You're just defined by all this bullshit. Same way you define yourselves by the past. The amount of people, you guys, please stop sending novels on a text message or fan mail. We can't, somebody asked me the question, where do I share my story? Fuck, man. If we listen to everybody's story, we wouldn't move you guys all forward. Because look, we're telling you right now, we're sharing some of our story, but it's taken, we're on what, years or month 17 or something for our podcast, or maybe 20, I don't know. Like, so at that, the story doesn't matter. Think about it. It's the symptoms. If I'm talking about naked fits being a problem, do you need to hear about my abuse? No, we do that to share with you so you don't have to realize you're alone. Now you can address the issues that are causing these problems, the naked fits that actually happen, or whatever it is. Okay? Cool?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I still have the visual.
Oh, I'll give you the visual. But we do different kind of fitness in the activity room now. Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.